What's up guys, this is TheKephas, and in this video I will be showcasing some new macros that I have created for World of Warcraft patch 8.0 using a mod called Gnome Sequencer Enhanced. For the purposes of making these macros available as soon as possible, please understand that this video is not a class guide. It will focus exclusively on the macros and how to use them. But don't worry, I fully intend to make new class guides once we're a bit deeper into Battle for Azeroth. Today we're going to talk about the macro that I have created for fire mages. Here, you can see me using it to clean up the mean streets of Dazar Allure. This is a very simple macro, and because of that, it should work in pretty much any situation and at all levels, using new abilities and talents as you unlock them. Like I said, this macro is very simple, but unfortunately it doesn't do everything. For utility, it will keep Blazing Barrier up as much as possible. It will also use Combustion whenever it's available. As for your base rotation abilities, it's going to use Fireball and Fire Blast. Now, of course, this is extremely helpful when you're wanting to simplify the Fire Mage, which is what this macro is designed to do, as always. So if you're just playing a Fire Mage casually and you're not really worried about min-maxing, this shouldn't be a problem. However, if you do care about that, then you might want to remove Fire Blast from the macro. Unfortunately, there's just no way to have the macro know to only use Fire Blast whenever you're heating up. It's simply going to use your charges of Fire Blast whenever they become available. So keep that in mind if you decide to use this macro. Now, as for your hot streak abilities, Pyroblast and Flame Strike, obviously they can't be included in the macro either. Because again, there's no way to have the macro know to only use those abilities whenever you have a hot streak. Plus, Flame Strike is a target location ability, and it wouldn't work in the macro anyways. So you'll have to use those abilities on a separate button. Now, at this point, this macro may seem like it's not doing very much, but we haven't gone over talents yet. And the good news is that this macro is designed to work with pretty much all of the talents in your new talent tree. So to make sure that you have a full understanding how the macro works with these talents, we are going to go over each tier one by one. Tier 1 is a choice between 3 passives that do not affect the macro in any way. Now, Searing Touch does bring Scorch into the rotation, and we haven't really gone over this ability yet. Unfortunately, there's no easy way to put Scorch into the macro, so you will have to use that ability on a separate button. Now, Tier 2 is a utility tier, so let's skip on to Tier 3. Here you have a choice between 3 talents that increase your damage. Incanter's Flow is a passive that works the easiest with the macro. But the macro will also use Mirror Image or Rune of Power on cooldown if you choose one of those 2 talents. In Tier 4, Flame On is another passive that works easily with the macro. But if you decide to go with Alexstrasza's Fury and bring Dragon's Breath into the rotation, then the macro will start to use Dragon's Breath, but it will only use it if you've taken this talent. Just make sure that you're always in range for Dragon's Breath, because the macro is just going to use it on cooldown. And if you're not careful, you're going to find yourself hitting nothing but air. And of course, if you decide to go with Phoenix Flames, the macro will use it and all of its charges on cooldown. Tier 5 is another utility tier, so let's skip on down to Tier 6. Here, you have 2 passives that will work just fine with the macro, but if you decide to go with Living Bomb, the macro will use it on cooldown. In our final tier, once again, we are met with 2 passives that will work just fine with the macro. Unfortunately, as awesome as Meteor is, it is a target location ability, and because of this, it will not work with the macro. So if you go with this talent, you're going to have to use it on a separate button. And that's basically everything you need to know about these macros and how they work. Remember, these macros work best when they are spammed, so either press the button as fast as you can or use a rapid fire button, which is fair game as long as you're the one pressing the button. As powerful as these macros are, they are far from perfect. So, if you want to play the game at a high level and get the most out of your class, I highly recommend that you play the game without these macros. But, if you'd like to get started with Gnome Sequencer Enhanced, you can do so by downloading and installing the mod. A link can be found in the description below. Along with it, you will find paste bin links for any macros featured in this video. If you'd like to use them, simply click the link and you'll be taken to a raw paste bin of the macro. Select the entire macro, copy, log into the appropriate class, type /GS to open the Gnome Sequencer screen, click on Import, paste the macro into the available space, make sure that Automatically Create Macro icon is checked, and click Import. You can now drag the icon to your action bar and the macro is ready to be used. If you followed all the steps correctly, the macro should be working fine. If something isn't working, start over and make sure that you follow all the steps correctly. If you are having further issues, I recommend that you check out the mod page or contact the mod's author for more information. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook and Twitter, and if you'd like, you can support this channel on Patreon. Links to all of this can be found in the description below. This is TheKephas. Until next time.